really, I see that up to many of you here to help. You guys are the guys who can really bring in new people. We need to be a word of mouth blockchain to a large extent, and we can do that because of the sheer number of people we have who are actively engaged. So with that, I'm going to
Um,
pass it on to Howo to handle this part.
okay, great. So I don't see the slides, so you'll see me going back and forth a few times. So nowadays, I'm mostly working on recurrent transfer. I feel like it's a very important thing for the Hive blockchain as a whole. To give you an idea, the idea is to enable Patreon-like use cases for Hive and enable the apps to do that. The reason why we want to have that is because we want to leverage the fast and fieldless transactions that we have, and currently I don't think any blockchains really does that, and it's actually a use case that drives a ton of traffic through, and as you can see from the numbers behind me, Patreon is a very big thing, and it's really not that complicated for us to enable it, and since we already have such a powerful thing with content and content creators, it wouldn't be so complicated for us to have, as a layer one, a way for us to have recurrent transfers which enable trustless transactions. That happens now and then. And then, as a layer two, more complex features like time-locked content and encrypted content. So you could have posts that would only be available. So, and from then you can basically imagine any kind of locked content. You can think of like Patreon. You can only think of like OnlyFans. You can think of a ton of like the new economy that's blossoming, where it's directly user to content creator instead of going through a platform. So that's one of the biggest thing I'm working on right now. And if you can go to the next slide, please. And apart from that, I've also been working for quite a few months on RC delegation. Shout out to the Stevie team because it was actually started by them, and I've been picking that up. It was basically done for SMTs initially, but it can also benefit users directly tremendously. If you don't know what RC are, it's basically tokens that allow you to do things on Hive. So, for instance, when you are creating a post, you pay RC to the blockchain as a way to avoid spam, etc. And to gain more RC, you need to have Hive power. The issue with that is that new users very often don't have enough Hive power to really transact in a comfortable way. So very often when you get onboarded onto the Hive blockchain, you are stuck where you cannot do anything after doing one or two posts. And it's been very complicated for the apps because when you want to onboard a lot of users, you have to spend a lot of either you send them directly Hive so you can power it up, or you delegate Hive to them, but then either you run into an issue where either you have to spend a lot of Hive yourself, or you are basically stuck with users who cannot transact and have a bad user experience. So RC delegation will solve that because in two ways. First of all, you can give as much RC as you want, and there is no inherent risk where if you delegate Hive power, people can start voting and abuse your system. And second, because RC are free and they regenerate, you can actually send it to anyone. And the final great thing about the RC delegation is that they work as pools. So you send RC to a pool, and then from that pool, you can give to many users. So that means that anyone who wants to contribute to a specific D app and boarding people can just give their RC to that pool, and then that pool will be used for many users. Which means that let's say you are a very big holder and you don't actually use your RC, like me for instance, you could definitely donate all of your RC to that pool to have new users, which means that we can basically end up with D apps that can onboard as much as they want, which helps to blockchain points where we basically enable way more scale. So yeah, that should all come to the next hard fork, and yeah, I think that's about it. Now we are ready for questions, I think. You can go to the next slide. So yeah, I'm not sure how the raise question will work, but I
So
guess
people can
let's
now
try.
see in their screen on the bottom right, you should now see a dedicated icon which says click to raise your hand. Yes, you can, an applause is also great. So we have, for example, a question here from Lemony Cricket. Okay, Lemony, You are on air and on the megaphone.
Oh, cool. So how many developers are actively working on core blockchain development?
You want to take that, Howo, or me, or both?
Uh, it's funny because literally yesterday we were thinking of doing a slide on how decentralized we were and how many developers we were, and we were literally saying, oh, but we don't really know how many developers we have. Core development is a bit tricky because it depends if you call layer 1 or layer 2 core. I guess if you call core the actual Hive development, there is Gandalf, me, blocktrades, Bartek. I would say, I venture a guess around 7, something like
Yeah,
this.
that's about
Maybe
right. Marius, there's Merrick. We've I'd actually it's probably closer to 8 at this point, because we've added a few more that have been doing stuff on the side. Nothing that was been released or anything, but there's coding going on. So probably 8 on Hive D. Blocktrades team has 14 total working on combination of Hive D and Hive Mind right now. The majority of them at the moment are working on Hive Mind. We've just got 2 guys, I guess, doing Hive D stuff right now. And of course, Howo, so that's 15 there, I guess. And then, of course, beyond that, there's a huge number of second layer apps people working, and I don't think anybody really has a solid count on how many there are there. I know our GitLab core has about 100 developers listed probably at this point.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Jarvi, you had a question?
All right.
Oh, sorry, Jarvi, I disabled you. Please start again. Yes. Jarvi?
All right. Thanks. Yeah, you had muted me. So, all right. So a question that maybe a bunch of us may have is how, specifically on your 2 features, like how long will they take? And then how long do we expect to get those features? Like, I guess that means how long away the block or the hard fork may be for that. And is there any possibility to get those features previous to the other ones that other people are working on?
So I guess your question is when Alpha 25? It's still kind of undecided. I guess I'll let Blocktrade expand on the hard fork timeline,
Yeah.
but I'll respond to the can we get stuff, can we get some features before others? Yes, but we try to have as many hard forks as possible because it requires a lot of synchronization between all of the exchanges and the witnesses, etc., and even the DApps who have to update very often. So it's a lot of time lost of overhead, and that's why we are doing a lot of push towards layer 2 applications and non-consensus changes, because those can be updated at any time. And yeah, that's basically why we are doing that right now. Is to avoid, is to enable a faster turnaround time and faster feature to completion rates. And yeah, I'll let you finish on the
Yeah.
timing.
So what Martin said, I fully agree with. Our main goal is, of course, to move much of this out of the first layer because there is this big delay when we can do hard forks to the second layer where we can iterate very rapidly. In fact, we can release new features in days that way. But as far as the hard fork timing goes, it's not fixed. I've kind of tentatively set it about 6 months, well, I guess we're 5.5 months or so from now at this point. But that's really not a fixed date. If we find that we really need to release something sooner, we can. It's not so much the time to do a lot of these things because a lot of the features we could certainly release if we prioritize them quicker. But mostly it's about we don't want to release too often because every time we do a hard fork release, we have to get all the exchanges to update the software, and that can be a bit of a pain at times. Sometimes they're very responsive and do things quickly, and other times they don't. And we don't want to be the blockchain where we're constantly making updates and driving them crazy either. So I've tried to set what I think is a reasonable schedule. So in general, I feel like we should stick to around a 6-month per hard fork time frame. But again, if there needs to be something done quicker for some reason, we can certainly do it. Does that answer your question?
Okay, great, thanks. I saw some other people having a Tiran. You had a question, but you removed yourself from the raise hand feature. If somebody has a question, please hand feature on the right side of your view On the bottom right, you should see raise hand, and then you can ask a question to the core development team. So Marty is having a question. I'm giving him the mic. Marty, you're on air.
All right. So just out of curiosity, maybe I'm running a bit ahead of myself because you've just talked about the plans for Hard Fork 25. But what are the ideas for Hard Fork 26 actually? Like, are there other features that we should be looking forward to in like the next years kind of thing?
So from my point of
Maybe
view,
that one.
yeah, so that's a big question. From my point of view, we shouldn't have to be looking forward to Hard Fork 26 because I feel like by the time Hard Fork 25 comes around, we should have got most of the work being done in the second layer, which means that we can release very, very rapidly and quickly. And yes, there's lots of things I want to do there, but in the core layer, I want to strip that down to just the things that absolutely have to be done in the core. For efficiency reasons and code development reasons, there's many reasons why I want to move that direction. So it certainly, there could be, I don't say that there won't be any interesting things in a Hard Fork 26, but I don't really have a lot of plans for Hard Fork 26 right now. I mostly have plans for what we're going to do with the second layer. And that's even beyond Hard Fork 25. That's going forward for the future. I see most of the work being done at the second layer.
All right, thanks.
Okay, great. Rondon is also just added. Hey, man. Rondon, you're on the air. Please ask your question.
Nice. Okay. Is it true that you're wanting to do gas fees for this?
Yes and no.
He got cut off there. Are you talking about gas fees for
we-
smart contracts?
Yes.
Yes. So some kind of fee, I think, for a smart contract system is going to be necessary because the server's got to run those, and running smart contracts is computationally expensive. So there's got to be some method for incentivizing people to want to do that. So yeah, I do expect to be some kind of fees for smart contracts. And we've seen this now. The smart contracts are often the point at which a lot of blockchains get stuck. Basically, they get overwhelmed by traffic, and it's not the data traffic; it's the computational traffic involved. We've seen this on EOS, we've seen this on Ethereum, both. So that's one of the things, one of the reasons that has me strongly interested in doing our smart contracts on the second layer, is to avoid a lot of that congestion problem. Basically, now smart contracts really won't be able to stop our first layer from running, as long as they're run on the second layer. And I say stop from running, but I mean effectively slowing down to the point where you can't do anything, which happens for a lot of people now and then on Ethereum and EOS.
Okay, that's clear. If there's anybody who has a question for core development team, please use the raise hand feature so we can give you the mic. It's on the bottom right of your screen. Click it and we can, okay, the Hive, welcome the Hive. You're on the air. If you can unmute your microphone, you should be able to ask your question. The Hive, I will pass the mic to Angre Klesta for a minute. Angre Klesta, please ask your question. You're on the air.
No, I just
Wanted to
started
raise your hands.
here
Okay.
and I still don't know how it works.
Okay, this is the raise hand feature. If you raise your hand, I can see your request and then you can ask a question. Okay, the Hive. Did you want to ask a question?
Yeah, I was just wondering if I don't hear much talk about it, but is there any discussion going on about changing back to a linear rewards curve, and also discussions about the governance and possible changes to the governance? Is there any news on that situation?
Okay,
So, well, I mean, on governance, on the next hard fork, we are most likely gonna implement a an expiration on most actions. So that would be delegations, proxies, proposal voting, witness voting, and pretty much any actions that lasts in time. One of the reasons is that a lot of keys are lost, and so and Hive is now pretty old at this point. So a lot of stake is now voting for things and cannot change it, which is kind of harmful to the governance model. So we definitely want to change that. On going back to linear, we are still not completely decided. We know we want to change the initial curation cutoff and set. I think the discussion was around 2 hours, so that you have 2 hours to basically vote, and during that time you don't have, oh, you voted before me, so you get more than me. In order to encourage more manual creation and lessen the needs to have automated voting. And yeah, if you want to add anything to that.
So yeah, as far as the linear part of it goes, I guess we haven't.
Thinking klein maken, maar niet afsluiten.
Oh, sorry. So we're definitely going to look at the linear issue as well, because it did get brought up when we talked about what would be done in Hard Fork 25. There was a suggestion to go to straight linear rather than the, I guess, curved linear that we have right now. So there were some strong arguments for it that I saw, and a few arguments against. I think really we need to look at the code for that before we make any firm decisions, but it's certainly something we'll take a look at.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm still not sure if I'm looking forward to getting my votes for my witness slowly being eaten up by time, but
well, oh no,
I
it
guess
won't
it's...
be. Well, the idea is when they wouldn't be eaten up by time. So it's an expiration system. So
yeah,
basically they will just expire if they don't get, if the person's not active.
okay. Okay, wow. Oh, that's pretty advanced. So if I keep on voting on
Yes, there won't be no expiration.
content.
That's oh no,
okay.
you have to do a governance vote. So basically the way it works
Oh,
is
governance, okay.
the blockchain will track your last governance vote. And a governance vote is voting for a witness, voting for a proposal, or setting a proxy, or unsetting a proxy. So those are all governance activities. And basically the system's going to watch your last it's going to keep track of that as part of your state for your account. And you have, like, we haven't set the time yet, but 6 months or a year. If you don't do anything in that time, then your votes expire.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a great solution to this problem.
Yeah, I didn't really like the decay idea. That I think that was somewhat problematic. The idea that it just slowly decreases.
Yeah, this is better, because then if you're still active on so I almost said Steam. If you're still active on Hive, sorry. If you're still active on Hive, then you can what's the use? If you're still really active on voting on proposals and really active member, I see that you then not get killed. And yeah, it's a bit overkill to just have random transactions reconfirming your votes. Exactly. And most probably somebody would make an app for that anyhow.
Right. So
it'll
claim rewards
integrated into
keychain. Yeah. So currently I don't see any new raise hands. If anybody wants to ask a question, please click on the raise hand icon on the right, on the bottom right. I think we've got time for 2 or 3 more questions, depending on the difficulty of your questions. Gabe, US Gabriel, welcome to HiveFest. I'll put you on air and you can ask your question right now.
That's a great question.
I was about to say the same. You take it. No, you take it. I almost said the same words you did, so you can have
it. So the way you can join the developer ecosystem is, so first of all, you should come onto the GitLab and literally read the code and work on it. You can submit pull requests, submit new issues, one kind of thing. We have a ton of issues that are ready to be taken on by anyone else. And then you should probably ask guilty parties to join the Mattermost, where most of the of the discussions are happening regarding development. It's not like an elite thing or anything. Pretty much anyone can join. It's just that it's very bland and very highly technical, so there is no interest for anyone that's not a developer to be on there, to be honest. And finally, you should join I think it's every 2 weeks. We try to meet every 2 weeks, every core developer, just to talk about stuff and how we do it. If you're not aware of that, you should know that on the Hive.io channel, we actually publish that every 2 weeks. I think the next one is it's the 2nd of January or something. Crimson Color can probably tell better than I do. And yeah, also announcement, it's going to be live streamed now because Crimson has decided to take everything into her own hands and make it more available to the public, because apparently we cannot do things correctly because everything was very ugly. And yeah, long story short, that's the way you should do it. And yeah, it depends on what your field of expertise is, but there are tons of subjects for any skills. Like if you like to do database stuff, you can work on HiveMind. If you like to work on front end, you can work on Condenser or SNC. If you like to do core development, you can like C++, you can work on HiveD. If you want to bring new solutions you can definitely bring new solutions. Like if you want to do a new app or like keychain or whatever, like literally there are tons of subjects that you can do, and you are more than welcome to try.
Thank you. Okay, guys, we've got room for 1 or 2 questions. So core development team, raise your hand. The Hive wants to ask another question. The Hive, it's up to you. You're on the air. I'm sorry, you got cut off. Please rephrase. The Hive, can you check to unmute or re-ask your question again? We are waiting for the Hive.
What a way to shame people.
You mean the blockchain? We are waiting for the Hive to confirm the block. Oh wait, it's already confirmed.
I got it.
And another block. Okay, the Hive is gone. Does anybody want to ask a question? Use the raise hand feature on the bottom right of your screen. And if not, then I'm gonna come up the stage and I will want to inform you. Oh, Wangster. Wangster? I don't want to shame people, but Wangster, huh?
Yep.
You got the mic.
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Who's our competitor? Like when it comes to, I'm really new at this blockchain, and through Solo, he basically kind of got me into it, and I see a lot of potential in this. However, there's every system has its own kind of platform and competitors. Like who's kind of our closest, who do we want to be? Or who is our main kind of competitor as for Hive?
That's really a difficult question to answer, to be honest.
Yeah.
It really depends on what you want to focus on about Hive. So Hive has got a lot of different focuses. So there's the blogging platform, and there are several other blockchains out there, I think, that have some blog features. Of course, the predecessor, if you will, to Hive was Steam. I don't really look at them as much of a competitor at this point because I don't really see them as a decentralized blockchain. And really the focus on Hive as far as the social stuff is decentralized authority, and basically everyone operates on an equal basis. But that's not really, for me, while I think the social is an important part of Hive, I really think we need to expand it far more into just a general information sharing blockchain. Much more types of data than just what you ate for breakfast to your friends or where you went on a trip. Those are all great things to talk about, but I really want to get to a lot of core things that we think about, ideas, and how we see the world, and how to raise that information in better ways. So this is a big problem. I think it's one of the problems that one of the major problems that face us all today in this internet world. And so I haven't seen a solution out there for that right now. So the thing I want to work on is basically a solution for that problem. So from that respect, I don't really know of any competitive product out there.
I do have
Okay,
a
thank you.
suggestion.
Sure. go ahead.
Like so as for myself, basically, you know, I knew about Bitcoin and I knew about Hive through Solo. And the process of like, okay, if you want to go on PD and then do some blogging, there's that Hive wallet that you need, and then there's a Hive keychain, and then there's all these keys, and then there's the upvotes and percentage of upvotes and mana. Like, I thankfully for Solo, he was able to explain it to me one by one very carefully. And somebody who doesn't know about this platform was such a, it was extremely like complex, even for, you know, I build computers, and I don't know much about programming, but just the way how to get involved itself was such a complicated process that, you know, and I really wish that we could expand totally kind of like that anybody can easily kind of share their words in a decentralized manner. But the very beginning process of creating the wallet, you know, knowing all the post keys and, you know, this key and that key, it's I think for kind of like a normal user, it's, I wish it could be a little bit more easy to
Get started.
apply. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's
So
the main challenge.
yeah, I think you're trust me, most of us are well aware of the onboarding challenges. That's why I mentioned in the slide and the things that we could do to do better. One of the ones I mentioned was onboarding, and that's basically the process of bringing new users to Hive and teaching them how to use Hive, and like I said, learn how to use their keys and stuff like that. So there's definitely a lot of work to be done there. I mean, we've made improvements, but there's certainly a long ways to go.
I see.
Okay, thank you. Last question for Christoph, ManCPT 13, all the way from Vienna. You are on the air right now. Last question. Oh, ManCPT removed, and Solar Warrior, you have the...
Yeah, thanks a lot. I actually have two questions. So the first question is, if you look at all the development and the cost of it, is it all funded by the proposal system, or how is that in the moment? And my second question is, if we look back on Hive, let's say in 10 years, and the market cap is in the billions, what would be the moment where it all lifted off? Is it due to a killer app or due to some technology development in our blockchain?
Yeah.
For the first question, as far as the funding goes, some work has been funded through proposals, but certainly the majority of the work that we've done to date in blocktrades is not. Basically, my plan is to make proposals after the fact. So basically, we do work, and then I'll make a proposal for basically what I feel like it costs us to do the work. And then, you know, you have a chance to see what the work is and make your own judgments whether you want to vote for it or not. So it's a somewhat risky proposition for me, but I'm willing to take that risk. As to the second question, as far as, I guess you're asking what will make Hive go to the moon. I can't really say for sure. I'm sorry, what's that?
I said exactly, yeah, to the moon or to Mars, depends.
So there's several potential answers to that, I guess. Yeah, it could be a killer app. It could just be natural growth if we, you know, start onboarding people and really proselytizing, I guess, what Hive has to offer. So from my point of view, I really want to build it off this reputation system. So that for me is the killer app that I want to make for Hive. And that's how I see Hive really gaining momentum. But it's not necessarily for me, it's not about making Hive worth billions of dollars. Sorry to disappoint anyone. It's more about making Hive something useful to people, and maybe changing the way we think and see the world.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks a lot. And thanks a lot, guys. And with those words, I want to thank you. That's really, I like that stance. I mean, of course, at first I also discovered Hive by seeing the dollar bills on the front page, but or not the dollar bills, but the dollar signs on the front page. But nowadays, you come for the what? How do we say? You come for the monies, you come for the dollars, but you stay for the community. And I think that's what you guys are also showing here. We're coming here. You're not coming here to pick up the money, right? You're coming here to meet each other. So. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm round of applause for howo and blocktrades, the guys who are making it all happen. And I'm really looking forward to Hard Fork 25, so we can, well, recurrently pay ourselves, or maybe get some nice subscribers to our blogs or content, and or maybe universal basic income through Hive. It's all possible with the next hard fork. Thanks a lot, guys. I hope you guys stick around for some questions in a more